A fortnight back, we saw the sixth mantra, where he gave various indicative descriptions, indicative definitions, how you can meditate on the Brahman, the reality. The point is where, just to mention them, Achintyam, inconceivable, avyaktam, the unmanifest, anantarupam, of infinite forms, Shivam, unauspicious, Amritam, immortal, Prashantam, perfectly tranquil, Brahmayonim, the womb of Brahma, the creator. Also, Adimadhyanta Vihinam, without a middle, beginning or an end. Ekam, one. Vibhum, all pervading. Chidanandam, knowledge and bliss. Arupam, formless. Adbhutam, it's wonderful. Chidananda, remember we left on this point. One of the famous descriptions of Brahman is said to be Sat Chit Ananda. In fact, many spiritual gurus, they become very poetic. They just use this very liberally as to describe Brahman as Sat Chit Ananda. Now, it's very simple if you understand what these individual words are. Sat is existence. Which is not used in the context here. When they say Chidananda, the style of the scriptures is they take a part to mean the whole. So you have to expand thereafter. So Chit is knowledge and Ananda is bliss. So again, I'm saying this Sat Chit Ananda is used to describe Brahman. Now, the pure consciousness of Brahman, where all does it manifest? The Brahman, or the reality or the consciousness, manifests at the grossest level. The grossest is inert matter, the dead inert matter, the things, the various things in the world, the inert matter, which are merely existing. They have a lifeless existence, lifeless as it were. Because even the mineral kingdom goes through some transformation, some change. But for all practical purposes, we say the mineral kingdom, the matter, you can also call it matter. In fact, we will call it as gross matter. You can say the inert matter is existing. So in one word, by using the word Sat, he covers the entire perishable matter, which is of the things which are merely existing. Like you see a mountain which existed It existed from a childhood. It will exist until your last breath. It just exists. So he says Brahman is there in that very mountain. It's everywhere. Sat. Now, Chit and Ananda refers to living beings. Sat refers to objects, things which merely exist. Chit and Ananda refers to living beings which go through the various experiences. So the living beings are subjected to the experiences of waking, dream, and deep sleep. So when an individual or the beings go through the waking and dream, as a waker, you have knowledge of the waking experiences. As a dreamer, you have knowledge of the dream experiences of the dream world. So knowledge refers to the living beings going through the waking and dream. I hope you got that. And thirdly, when the living beings go through the experiences of deep sleep, you experience what is said to be Ananda, which is bliss. So when the individuals go through waking and dream, you have knowledge of, with this Chit. When the living beings go through deep sleep, you have knowledge of the bliss of the deep sleep. So in effect, he is saying living beings, in fact, what he is saying in a simple definition, Brahman or the consciousness permeates things and beings of the world. You take out the things and beings of the world, there's nothing else that is there in the world, isn't it? Is there anything else beyond the things and beings, including if you say things as the known and unknown planetary system, the stars, the Milky Ways, everything, all are objects, inert matter. And then there's the life in the beings. So take out these things and beings, there's nothing else in the world. So pure consciousness pervades the entire things, which is said by Sat. In beings, the beings are subjected to the experiences of the waking, dream, and deep sleep. When you go through waking and dream, you have knowledge of the waking and dream. When you go through the deep sleep, you have experience of Ananda. So this is what, when they say Sat Chid Ananda, it only means the consciousness is pervading, permeating all the things and beings of the world. That's the simplest way of understanding what this existence, knowledge, bliss refers to. SR, following SR?
Yes, Guruji. Able to.
Able to.
Yeah.
So it's very simple if you understand it.
Yes.
As things and beings, that's all. Things exist, beings go through experiences of waking and dream, you have knowledge of, and deep sleep, you experience is Ananda.
Ananda.
But this bliss mentioned here is not to be mistaken of the bliss of realization. All right. It is not the bliss of realization. It is not the bliss of realization. But then why is it called the bliss here? Why do they use the word ananda with reference to deep sleep?
Because we are in an unconscious stage.
Even when you're in dream also unconscious stage, no?
But we are in the bliss is, we're talking in a deep sleep.
Correct. That's the question. Why is deep sleep said to be ananda or bliss? Both unconscious state. So when I come and see you when you're asleep, I would know whether you are in dream or
In
deep sleep,
right.
isn't it? You would know when somebody is resting. But compared to the deep sleep, dream is said to be a disturbed sleep. So deep sleep is almost given, is akin to the anandam or bliss. In fact, they say the bliss experienced at realization, you get a glimpse of that in deep sleep.
So that we do every day. We go through every day, whatever it is.
If you go through every day, you're blessed, sir.
Deep sleep, I'm talking.
That's what I'm saying. If you go through
Without
deep
dreams.
sleep every day, you're blessed. Every day you go through deep sleep, sir?
Yeah, I think so. The day dreams doesn't go through, then doesn't come, then I think it's a deep sleep. That's what my meaning of understanding.
Correct. When you don't have dreams, you are in deep sleep. But my question is, why do they call it ananda? Why is the reflection of the bliss of realization almost mirrors itself in the experience of deep sleep? So there's obviously, it's a very profound experience. So what is the common in realization, which is also called ananda, vis-a-vis the deep sleep, which is also called ananda? What is the similarity? Or what is common here? Not similarity. What is common?
I don't know. I can attempt, Guruji, that could be the reason. Realization is a conscious. And here we're talking about deep sleep, is could be in a more of unconscious. It is a difference.
There is a difference, yes, certainly. It's a conscious experience and unconscious. If only it's the same, then we'll all put everybody into
the deep sleep.
Deep sleep, in fact, create cubicles and put you into coma, long coma.
Yes.
And hopefully you may permanently remain in that coma state, until you kick the bucket. Huh? So that is not the real thing.
Yeah.
But what is the similarity? Yes, Radigar, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Gayatri, mind and intellect is not active in deep sleep. Yes, mind and intellect is not available in realization also. But is that the reason why you say it as deep sleep? Why? Oh, is that the reason why you call it as Anandam?
Yes,
The Setramans are attacking me today. Yes, Gayatri Ma?
In waking and dream sleep, both the mind and the intellect are active. In deep sleep, they are not active at all. So it's a unconscious sleep, like unconscious.
No, we are not comparing the deep sleep to the waking and dream. We are comparing the deep sleep experience akin to the experience of self-realization, because the word Anandam is used in both these contexts. But it is a qualified usage in deep sleep. It has a far greater meaning in the state of realization. So the question is in context to that, not with reference to waking dream and deep sleep. Then you are very right. Okay, come on. We will go by Vasantama first.
Hari Om Guruji. I don't know. I think because in both the states, there are no thoughts. Thoughtless state, we realize and experience the Ananda. which is unrealization, I think. And when we get up from a deep sleep, we always tell, I had I had a good sleep. I had anand. You experienced that ananda.
Correct. So the absence of thoughts or desires, when thoughts are absent, when desires are absent, what state are they in?
Bliss.
In fact, your answer is right. In deep sleep, the thoughts and desires are absent. That's what you said. In deep sleep, the thoughts and desires are permanently absent. Here it's a temporary phase. There it is a permanent eradication. Okay, this is your hit the nail on the head. Now my further clarification to you is, when thoughts and desires are, what's the word you used?
Thoughtless state. No desires.
When there are no thoughts and desires, what state are they in? Okay, let's put it in a straightforward manner. When thoughts and desires are not there, what state are they in? What state does it get into?
Bliss. No, there.
What is the synonymous of bliss? Deep sleep. What is another synonym of deep sleep? Vasanas.
I had that in mind. I didn't want to with the
No, I know. No, I know you had it. Why now you get to it? What I'm asking: when thoughts and desires are not there, what state does it get into? It gets into an unmanifest state. I didn't want to use the word unmanifest. When thoughts and desires are not manifesting, it goes into unmanifest state of vasana. So when vasanas are in its unmanifest stage, you are the deep sleeper. When vasanas are completely eradicated, you get into the state of self-realization. Are you able to draw the connect?
In the deep sleep state, the vasanas are in an unmanifested state.
Vasana means unmanifest.
And in when on realization, they are totally eradicated.
Totally eradicated. Isn't it? You have described that there are no a thoughtless state. But synonymous to deep sleep is vasanas. So you can say vasanas. In fact, you know all the synonyms of deep sleep? All right. Anybody? US, you know the synonyms of deep sleep?
The two you have already said, vasanaless.
Correct.
Thoughtless.
There's more to it. That's the reason I'm asking you. No, what are the two things you said?
Vasanalessness.
My question is, what is the synonym for deep sleep? What's it you said just now?
Thoughtlessness and vasanalessness.
No.
Yeah.
The vasanas is deep sleep, not vasanalessness. Vasanalessness is realization.
Yeah, but vasanas are dormant, but it is dormant. So
Correct. Dormant. The moment you say vasana, it means it's dormant. It is dormant. it means it's unmanifest. See, if you take the example of a seed, can we not say a seed is unmanifest?
Yeah.
When the seed manifests, what does it manifest as? A seed, what does it manifest as?
Seedling.
A small sapling, a shoot, isn't it? It starts sprouting. That's a first manifestation of seed. When it further manifests, it becomes a plant, then it full grows into a tree. So with reference to the seed, sapling, plant, and tree, seed is the vasana. The thought is the sapling. The raging desire in your mind is a firm tree, a plant, you could say, a sapling, a plant, and then once the desire manifests, it's a full-grown tree, is an action. You're able to draw the connect to this. So when we say seed, it means vasana. Vasana means unmanifest. They are synonyms. Means you can use it in different contexts, obviously, but they all mean the same. So one synonym we have said is deep sleep, is vasana. What are the other synonyms? In different contexts, in Vedantic study, it is used. Since we are on it, I'm just taking a mention of it. May not be in context. Okay.
Deep sleep is also bliss.
Obviously, bliss, as we have said, vasanas, bliss sheath, as they call it, or bliss sheath is the same. Anandamaya kosha, isn't it? Anandamaya kosha is bliss. Ramji, what is the other synonym? Think along, Ushama.
Guruji. I can't think of any other synonym, Guruji.
That means you are completely free of it, sir.
Deep sleep is, what is the other synonym means? Maybe
That means you're completely free of it. What are you free of?
desires.
No, that is, desire is not a synonym of vasana or deep sleep. Another synonym for deep sleep is ignorance.
Ignorance. Oh,
That's why it's completely freed of yourself. That's the reason you don't know.
okay.
Ignorance of the self is synonymous to vasanas. So a spiritual person who is ignorant of the self, who's less evolved, has more vasanas, voluminous vasanas. So as you start removing the ignorance, how does the ignorance gets dispelled? Your vasanas get dropped off, isn't it? You have less vasanas.
But how does ignorance of self give you bliss?
No. I'm not saying ignorance of the self gives you bliss. We are saying these are synonyms used in different contexts.
Different context.
With
Okay.
different contexts.
Okay.
But you can't use it liberally here and then try to make sense of it. It tantamounts to, we'll get complete confusion,
Yeah.
But ignorance of the self is synonym to vasanas, is synonym to deep sleep, is synonym to bliss.
So when we say sushupti is deep sleep, right?
Yes.
So when we say sushupti, it can be used in all these contexts, right? Vasana, ignorance of self, Bliss.
Again, I wouldn't use ignorance of the self. You can
Okay.
say so, but but it is again in a very specific context.
Okay.
It's important to know because the scriptures liberally use these terms. For example, here he is used Chidananda. Ananda, what does it mean? Unless until you decode that word, otherwise people may mistake Ananda to be the bliss of realization. Therefore, the clarification. You get it? Okay, sir.
Right, sir.
Right, sir. Lakshmi Ma?
Guruji, the causal body is the vasanaless body, right? That's causal.
No, not vasanaless body. Another synonym for deep sleep
Deep
is the causal body. Causal body is also another term used for vasanas, because vasanas are the very cause for the other bodies. What are the other bodies that is caused by the causal body?
Gross, subtle.
Gross and subtle. The gross body and the subtle body are the sthula sharira and sukshma sharira are products of vasanas, causal body. That's the reason it is said causal. Same, they all mean the same. Okay? Yes. Yes, Hariji.
I have two doubts.
Yes, sir.
One is when we are talking about ignorance or knowledge, both are in the realm of intellect. Ignorance is an intellectual concept, like knowledge. So during deep sleep, there is no intellect. So can we say that during deep sleep, we are ignorant? Because they are intellectual concept.
So you're intellectualizing, I must say now.
Yeah,
But
now I'm wakeful, so I'm trying to intellect.
Right. But do you realize the intellect itself is a product of vasana? Intellect is nothing but a thought.
Yeah.
And where does a thought come from? From the vasana itself. So obviously there will be no intellect in deep sleep because the product of it is intellect which is in the waking state, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So how will it be available in the deep sleep? It will not be available because it's not the source is the vasana, and vasana is deep sleep. So from the deep sleep comes the intellect, which is a thought.
No, so the question is when we say during deep sleep, we are ignorant of the self.
No, we are saying when we're not saying, see again, this is taking the usage of terms little out of context. We are not saying in deep sleep you're ignorant of self. In the waking state and dream state also you're ignorant of a self. How is it in particular specification to deep sleep? Not really. You are ignorant of self right throughout, isn't it? We are only saying vasanas is synonymous to ignorance of the self. We are only saying the expression of vasanas.
Yeah.
As we say, sir,
yeah.
Ramji, you asked this also. Hariji, you asked clarifying. When we say ignorance of the self is expression of vasanas, how do you understand this? It is the lacuna within, the imperfection or the emptiness within that creates the thoughts for the world. Isn't it? When one is paripurna, there is no desire or thoughts for the world, isn't it? Like when you're full, when you had a sumptuous meal, there is no desire for food. The desire for food is temporarily satiated. there is no more thought of food in your mind. In fact, you get nauseating. The moment a mention of food, you get nauseating. Why? You're paripurna. Similarly, when you're spiritually paripurna, you will not have thoughts and desires of the world. You will not run behind the world. You will not want to acquire the world. I tell you that you are not in the rat race. To the extent you are paripurna, you will not run behind the world, which is nothing but the vasana and the desire. No? So the more spiritually fulfilled you are, the vasanas and desires disappear. See, to the extent you bring in light into the room, to that extent darkness is dispelled. It starts with a mere matchstick or a lamp. That light of a lamp is good enough to dispel the darkness, but it dispels darkness to that extent. You put on the lights in the room to further extend the darkness dispel. You put a halogen bulb. It's so bright you can't see the light. No more darkness at all. So in that sense, the ignorance gets dispelled when the realization of the self happens, and it happens in stages. It's not necessarily darkness and brilliance. It's a gradual progression. So in answering to your question, it's not that in deep sleep you are ignorant of the self. Deep sleep is said to be synonymous to ignorance of the self. So once you become gather wisdom, the ignorance in the form of desires and vasanas disappears. In that sense it is. So you've got to be very careful in how you use the terms. Okay, sir?
Okay, yeah. Number two is the more we are extroverted, the more will be our agitation. Conversely, the more we are introverted, the more will be our blissfulness state.
Correct, correct.
So if I say during the deep sleep, I am at the relative stage, I am most introverted state, which is near the nearer we are to our core personality, the more blissful we are. So if I interpret that during the deep sleep, I am nearest to my core personality because I don't have any more external thoughts or external, I am not at all extroverted at that time. I am most introverted during my deep sleep. So since I am most introverted, or I am very near to my core personality, that is why we are now, during the deep sleep, we are comparing ourselves with a self-realized soul. The state-wise, I'm not talking about the knowledge, jnanam point of view, but the mental state of a jnani and a deep sleep fellow is almost same. Because both of them don't have agitation. So if I interpret during my deep sleep, I am very near to my core personality, deep inside. Is my interpretation correct?
Sir, you are right in your argument, but then I would go back to what Reddy Garu said earlier. The deep sleep is an unconscious state. And when you are in an unconscious state where there is no conscious effort, we don't use the terms of getting extroverted or introverted, because even to become extroverted, you must put in a conscious effort. You want to chase the world, you want to run behind the world, you need to put in a lot of effort. You want to seek the truth within also is a conscious effort. So how can you use the terms introversion and extroversion with reference to deep sleep? I wouldn't use, because that's an unconscious state. It's a silent, it silently conveys whether you're mentally in what is your mental space? If you have too many disturbing thoughts, you cannot have sound sleep.
Yeah.
That's all it communicates. It doesn't communicate how introverted I am. How introverted you are, you should know, measure it in the waking state. While you are in the conscious state, you measure how introverted and extroverted you are. You don't measure your introversion, extroversion in deep sleep, please.
Maybe I would have used a wrong terminology, but what I meant is that we are near our core personality during our deep sleep.
I wouldn't say that also. Again, it's not a conscious state.
Okay. Okay.
I'll still use the same line of argument for the reason being it's not a conscious state, sir. So it is deep sleep only gives a certain experience, and why you get into deep sleep is whether you have, as you know, people have dreams, and the dream is a sign of, what is a sign of dream? A person has dreams, it's only a sign of unfulfilled desires, tantamounting to mental agitations causes dreams.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I repeat, dreams are nothing but unfulfilled desires tantamounting to mental agitations. So you have a disturbed sleep because it comes and bothers you. Other than that, on the contrary, when you're having sound sleep, what does it mean? To that extent, your mind is calm,
agitation
less agitated. As you said, you are more introverted. But I can't say because of that. I can't. You know, you get. We are trying to put these concepts and conclude. So I'm saying the arguments are right, but the conclusion is wrong. We can't argue that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. UK.
Guruji, you were talking about Paripurna just now. The same state resembles a tamasic person's not taking up any activity, just not having any ambitions, that kind of a thing. So how would you differentiate between both?
The difference between a person who is Paripurna and a person who is tamasic, both appear same, or they're similar but not same. You know, from the point of view that they are not. We know one is a sattvic state, another is tamasic state, and we are often stated, not only in this context, we often state tamas mocks sattva. Remember this, tamas mocks sattva. And the quintessential difference between a person who is tamasic and vis-a-vis sattvic, and the quintessential acid test is a tamasic person would refrain from getting into action. A sattvic person will remain in action right throughout. So a sattvic person is active, is industrious, is productive. At the same time, he is very contented within.
When he is doing all this, is he not again running after his vasanas or trying to fulfill?
There are no vasanas.
Then why is he being industrious or working hard? Or...
Dharma.
Okay.
He has his duties to perform. Even the Lord says, if I don't perform my action, there will be confusion of caste system. There will be total breakdown of this whole laws. The whole world comes to a standstill. It will be a chaos, he says. So imagine if the sun doesn't come out. Not because it's raining here. I mean, the sun doesn't come in certain parts of the world. They don't see the sun for 9-10 months. Some extreme Arctic circle and all. They only see 1 month. In the entire year, they see 1 month sun, and morning 11 o'clock is like midnight 10 o'clock for them. Can you imagine a world, a sunless world?
Yeah.
You and I would completely
We can't
disoriented.
survive. Yeah, exactly.
You and I can't survive. It takes a lot for the small community which survives there. So imagine, and you're asking question, son, why are you coming out? What job have you got? Are you interested in all the celebrations? August 15th, we're going to celebrate. Are you interested in the celebrations? We're going to celebrate Janmashtami. Are you interested in the celebrations? Why are you out? The sun has nothing to do. You know, it is just doing its dharma duty. So the difference is a sattvic person would perform doing his action. I have to do my dharma. But that doesn't mean when I'm doing my action, you can't attribute a desire to me. You can't attribute a motive to me and say, oh, you must be having some motive behind it. He must be wanting something out of it. That is Rajasic state. A Rajasic state is you are acting to get something out of your action.
For a purpose. For a purpose.
The purpose in a sattvic action is it has a loftier ideal. To that extent, there is no selfishness. No? As you know, that which burns away the selfish desires, the antidote to selfishness and selfish desires is a higher goal or a purpose in life. When there is I wouldn't even use the word desire. But when there is an effort to establish an institution, let's say there is an earnest effort we all have been a part of to create the facility, the Wisdom Institute. You've heard on and off about a Wisdom Academy.
Yeah.
There is a difference between working for that vis-a-vis wanting to have a beautiful home for myself. Don't you see a difference?
Yes, definitely.
I'm not interested in a home for myself. I may have a home, I may not have a home. How does it matter when I am thinking of myself in it? So when I'm working for
A higher cause.
a cause like that, could I achieve that without acting?
No,
Or
definitely
through action?
not. Through action.
Now, am I to feel disturbed, unfulfilled, discontented until that happens?
You should not.
Or should I feel contented even now without it and continue to do my dharma to achieve the goals? How should I function?
You should continue, your dharma, Guruji, being contented with whatever you are doing.
That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm doing, I'm saying. So a sattvic person, to the extent you are sattvic, you will see a reminiscence of these qualities. There is you go to the very, why I use the word reminiscence or the residual means when you go to the very bottom of that action, these are the qualities that are the bottom of it, the real essence of it, I would say. So you will remain contented.
Yeah.
Was I not contented before the facility of the institute? I was very contented.
Yeah.
Was I not contented before the birth of Wisdom Foundation? I was very contented. You have to perform your dharma. You have to perform your action. How does that action got to do with how contented you are? It's not people. A Rajasic person's contentment is only measured with
the result you get from the action.
I may be earning 5 lakh salary. I'm not content with it. I want to do things which will bring about a greater compound result effect in my fortune. So I will start finding ways and means how I can multiply my resource of income. I could continue to do that. But as long as I do it for myself, if I want to build a home for myself, I want to build an empire for myself, I want to acquire land for myself, as long as I and my remains in your pursuit, it is going to cause you, it is a sign of lack of paripurna.
Yeah.
So tamasic person, the quintessential difference between tamasic and sattvic, tamasic fellow is inactive.
Okay.
He's sleeping in sloth, lazy, indolent. You got to do a lot to bring action out of him, that person. No action at all. That doesn't mean he's sattvic. That doesn't mean he's paripurna. Tamas. A rajasic fellow is running in a frenzy without any contentment.
Okay.
Yesterday, as I can't be referring to the person or the context. Yesterday night, I slept with these thoughts, but these thoughts didn't disturb me. Huh? The last conversation I had with someone, and they told me there was a gentleman who is so well placed in society, who has everything, but yet he's not contented. Everything is there, not contented. But if only I get that done, I'll be happy. And he is openly confessing, sir, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not contented. And I've achieved a lot, I've experienced a lot, I have so much, but yet I'm not contented. So another way of measuring your spiritual status is how contented you are. And yet at the same time, you must plunge into action. You compromise action, you will slip into tamas.
Yeah.
Now, action, not the action of a rajasic fellow, action bound by dharma. Whatever is your dharma, is your duty, your obligation, you must perform. Without depending on the karma or the karma phala. Not interested in, if sometimes the opportunity is not there, it doesn't matter. Means you don't have the opportunity to perform action, you're fine. Okay, I'm ready to do my dharma, but if I'm not wanted, thank you very much. Nor are you interested in the fruit of your action. So you're not attached to the action, nor are you attached to the fruit of action. But action will be performed, and the internal state is your contented. So remember, tamas mocks sattva. Therefore, all the time you must plunge into action, karma. And what kind of karma? Always plunge into action. What kind of karma you perform?
Like without any selfish thoughts, Guruji, for the welfare of the others or what? With the spirit of service and sacrifice. To that, as long as that element of service and sacrifice, not just an element, in fact, it starts overwhelming. The action is done only for that purpose. Yes.
Not for oneself.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. So tamas is no action. Rajas is selfish action. Sattvic fellow is selfless, unselfish or selfless action. Tamasic fellow also not contented. Rajasic fellow also is discontented. Sattvic fellow only contented. The only fellow contented. So tamas is inaction. Remember the definitions we give in the corporate modules. We bring out this element, but it's just easy to understand. Tamas is, Gachima, what is tamas?
Inaction.
Plus
No action at all.
plus
Contentment.
tamas is inaction plus, you're right, not wrong. Okay. Haresh, what is corporate way of describing? You tell me, I didn't have attended your corporate workshop. Huh?
Sorry, Guruji. The corporate way for, can you hear me, Guruji?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the corporate way for tamas, is it, Guruji?
Yes.
It is basically inaction and not motivated or not looking after the
Which is in
company.
which is inaction. No, you're not
Yes.
not motivated enough to get to your desk or get to your office, attend to your chores. There's no drive. That's inaction. So tamas is inaction plus
I'm sorry, I didn't get that, Guruji. I didn't get
no
that
problem.
part.
No, in fact, it's just another word. As Gayatri also said, contentment. A person who is tamasic is also very peaceful. So tamas is inaction plus peace.
Please. Okay.
Correct, Rohitji? Inaction of the body and the mind. So you think you are very peaceful. Now, taking the same definition, how do you define Rajasic person, Harish?
Full of selfish action, full of selfish
Action.
actions.
Yes. Plus
Agitated.
agitated, extremely agitated, restless, anxiety, discontented, depressed, extroverted, so on. And a sattvic person,
Selfless and unselfish, goes into action with no motive and is constantly at peace and contentment.
so in short, in 3 words, you can say sattva is action plus peace. No axe to grind. There is no, you don't think of extracting anything from others. There's no thought is absent. There's no malice in the heart,
Yeah, there are no agendas whatsoever.
no hidden agenda. So you just keep doing action. I tell you, Ramatirtha says, why is it you fellows have motives to work, he says. Why do you fellows have to have motive? Huh? Now, while I'm teaching this knowledge, I can't think of what motive I can have while I'm teaching this knowledge. I don't know. I'm not trying to be falsely modest either here, but I'm just trying to tell what motive can somebody have while teaching this knowledge or doing any work. And we can't understand how can we not have a motive. So both of us are in the same state. We can't understand Ramatirtha, Ramatirtha can't understand us.
Guruji, I think most people have a motive generally because they feel it's just a means of survival. I think most of them don't know any other way. Because for them, it's just a means of survival. They don't know there are other options available or other ways to do it. Because there's so much insecurity out there. Most of people are insecure. So they're only waking to sleeping time, from the waking moment to the sleeping moment, it's just about survival for them, for most people. I mean, that's how I observe it.
But again, I'm clarifying that what has got a motive to do with your workmen. They're 2 separate things, isn't it?
Yes.
If you just go about doing your work without a motive, isn't that divine?
Yes, it is.
Just take out your selfish motive and just, as Shakespeare says, the whole world will stand up and say, Here is a plain, blunt, simple man. No prefixes, no suffixes, no paraphernalia, just down to earth.
Yes.
And sometimes you come across people who are so simple, so down to earth, and it's so refreshing, isn't it? So refreshing to come and connect with people. How can you be so simple? And yet things can always be much grander, much bigger, better, but they choose to lead such a humble, simple life. They don't find a need to impress anybody. This is what I have. Why do I have to impress anybody? Why do I have to live a life for anybody other than myself? Okay, so
Yes, Guruji.
that's tamas, rajas, sattva. Okay, okay. Right. And then the coming back to the synonyms of deep sleep. What have we said so far? Redigar, have you taken note of all the synonyms?
One is a seed, Guruji. The seed is a vasana, means unmanifested sprout or sampling. There is a one. Ignorance of self. And causal body. These are the three that we break down.
So one is we said the synonym for deep sleep is vasanas.
Yeah.
Second is bliss. Third is ignorance of the self.
Good.
The fourth is the causal body.
Causal body.
And also there's another term that is used as synonym, is known as non-apprehension of the reality. Non-apprehension of the reality is also said to be the vasanas.
Means, Guruji, I could not get non-apprehension of reality.
See, this is another synonym that is used. Again, when you talk of non-apprehension, again, is a different context. Non-apprehension means not understanding. Apprehension means what is understanding, isn't it? To
Understanding.
apprehend means understanding. So the not apprehension, the not understanding of Brahman brings about the misapprehensions of the world. So there are three stages whenever we talk of this concept. The three stages. One is Brahman, then there's non-apprehension of Brahman, then comes the misapprehensions of the world. Three steps. Brahman. If you apprehend Brahman as Brahman, there is no problem. Isn't it? If you understand Brahman as Brahman, no problem. But what are they going through? Everybody has not understood what Brahman is, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
When you have not apprehended Brahman as Brahman, it is because of ignorance, isn't it?
Yes.
That non-apprehension of Brahman is misapprehended as the world. So the misapprehension of the world to be real is the play of illusion. The play of illusion is you don't see the reality. You see the unreal as real. I'm extending, but to understand the concept of non-apprehension, since you clarified, the ignorance of God, you see the plurality of the world. All of you might be thinking, why did he use that word bliss? We have lost all our bliss. We are in total confusion now. Are you okay, sir?
Guruji, I have one small clarification. We're
Please.
talking about taking the times of Ramatita, maybe in the starting of the 20th century, if I remember.
Yes.
It was somewhere between 1903, 1907, those times.
He
And
died in 1906.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Right, right.
So those times, the world, the circumstances, the challenges, what human beings is going through and what we are really going through. Human being remains same, but the circumstances are changed. So is it invariably make the persons to be more of a rajasic than those times where we're talking about most they preach about the sattvic? Is that time is also attributed to the human thought process changing from tamas to rajas?
No, it's the human devolution.
Yeah.
We are perhaps seeing a very alarming state, as I say, Kali Yuga, from Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga. So as we have, through ages, we have devolved, and perhaps we are seeing the lowest stages. It's a cycle. Again, the whole thing will collapse, and again, the best of times will start. So whatever, whether be it the best of times or the worst of times, don't you think this knowledge is relevant? Because even the Satya Yuga people, the Vedic truths were taught to the most sattvic people. Who were the students who received this wisdom? The most sattvic people, isn't it?
Yes.
And you and I will find a great relevance of this knowledge today, even to the most, lack of brain. There's no common sense. Even to them, you need to develop. You need to tell them to develop your intellect and deal with life. So the knowledge is still relevant today, is it not?
Knowledge is relevant, Guruji, but the comforts, the desires, the needs, which have been really growing, and definitely we talk about as it is in a corporate world, we're talking about a competition. Like I was just sent in an article there, this Arvind Kumar Goel, the gentleman who was in action, I think in a true example that in a sattvic preaching, is a very rare you come across the people who are in action and using the best of knowledge and efforts and resources. And again, it's been given back more than 100 institutions to the across. So it's a true example, but you hardly find the rarest rare you find, the fractions we find. So what my thought was that in 19th century to the 20th century, in 100 years, the evolvement on technology front and the development might have taken place, but there's a lot of development took place on the knowledge front.
So we need to do a lot more to remind people of the great teachings of Ramatirtha.
Yeah.
When adharma is on the rise, there's a greater need of dharma, sir. That is what in the Gita I said, no? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanar bhavati bharata abhyuthanava dharmasya tadatmanam sujam. Whenever there's a decline of dharma, the dharma is on the rise, he says, I come to set right this imbalance. So why is there a decline? Because we have lost our own tradition, our own values.
Yes, Guruji.
The relevance of it has not died. It's just that sad that this fluctuation always keeps happening in the proportion of dharma and adharma in a society. During the Mahabharata times also there was utter chaos, anarchy, barbarity. The worst of it under Lord Krishna's nose, it all happened. So it existed right throughout, sir. I know we also understand the definition of the world is dvandvas, opposites, no?
Yeah.
You can't remove evil out of the world. Nor can you completely wipe out dharma from the world. So there will be some elements of adharma even in the most dharmic society. Even in the most adharmic times, there will be greatest of dharmic people trying to set right the imbalance. So this is how life has seen time immemorial. This is how it's been. That's history. So we have to accept it.
Yeah, that's good. True, Guruji. But what I'm trying to say, let's compare these Pandavas with the Kauravas, where it's a good and bad, say by 5:100. Now, looks like that's more than more or less fractions of 99.9 in the bad, and the fractions are good. I mean to say, including self, our thought process, our way of living, everything is dramatically changed. What I'm trying to say, because somewhere somebody gives analogy saying that the dvandvas of good and bad, like 5 Pandavas are good and 100 Kauravas are bad. That the way the composition has been fought, and that's where it has been. A good of 5 could able to win over 100. But I see is now the reverse phenomena. The fight for the fighting for to come out of the bad, there is no goodness at all in the society.
No, I can
I
understand.
mean to
where
say
you're
the
coming
factions
from.
are less. What I mean to say, I'm not saying no means, I'm not saying zero, but what I mean to say, the more of empowered towards the bad aspects of it than the good. The teachings are still dormant. The knowledge is still dormant. It's not put to use and not in action. That's my perception to that.
But all I would say is this, as I've quoted the Gita, these men of wisdom keep coming again and again. The only objective is to resurrect. So a time will certainly come where the adharma will start declining and dharma will rise. It's a cycle. It's just a matter of the phase when you see there seems to be so much of ignorance and so much of rampant crime and materiality and sensuality. Where is this wisdom? Where are these values? I can understand your sentiment, but this is life. We need to do. Therefore, that only should inspire us to do more, so that this knowledge can reach out and be injected into the society. Okay. So just to give mention that this mantra gives all the pointers or describes Brahman with reference to the formless. Now the 7th mantra will come back next week. He gives Brahman, he describes Brahman with reference to a form. So he introduces the form. He says, Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum. Parameshwara. So he introduces the form of Lord Parameshwara. For those who can't worship on the formless reality, you can use the form. And then he qualifies it further. He says the 3-eyed, the blue-necked, etc. We'll come back and see that. Yes, Hariji?
Guruji, in verse 6.
Mantra 6.
Yeah, we are now saying as a synonym Anantarupam and Arupam. Anantarupam is
Infinite forms.
Infinite forms.
Yes.
Whereas in the same verse, we are telling arupam, formless.
Mm.
So can I interpret Anantarupam is in the relative sense that it is the terrestrial experience, and Anantarupam is for transcendental experience?
See, when we use the word infinite forms, we said that the reality should be experienced in all the manifested forms.
Yeah. So we are all part of that. No?
Correct. So where do you see Brahman? In the manifested forms.
Okay.
And then when he says the formless,
It's a transcendent. I don't know what.
no, but when you look at the transcendental with reference to the manifested, it doesn't mean the transcendental has become terrestrial. The transcendental remains to be transcendental.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So when he says formless, it only means that the Brahman is all pervading. You can't confine it to a form.
Okay.
You can perceive it in all the forms, but don't limit it to any particular form. It's all pervasive.
Okay.
Perhaps it can be looked at that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Raghuji, let the joy remain, swell and radiate. Okay. Wonderful. Yes, Gayatri Ma.
Yeah, Hari Om, there's a small announcement. We have been talking of Manana in all the classes. Now, to help you all do this Manana reflection, how we have to do it, what are the effects of doing it, and what are the side effects of not doing it, Guruji is going to conduct a little more than a half-a-day session on 31st July at Wisdom Institute. I request all the local people to personally come and use this opportunity of the Institute as well as direct interaction with the Guruji. Even outstations, I would prefer people can make a visit to Hyderabad. It would be very fine. It is on the 31st July at the Wisdom Institute at Sainik Puri, and it will start at 10 a.m. and end at 3 p.m. with question and answers. Hari Om, please do join us on 31st July at Wisdom Institute.
So just a clarification, those outstation students who you are extending, we will also open our homes to them. So Wisdom Institute can also accommodate. It's a residential facility, as you all know. So please come and you can use that facility. You can stay there and do your sadhana. So I was requested by some of them that we need to have an exhaustive session so that we are able to understand the nuances and the intricacies and all that which goes into this important element for our spiritual transformation, reflection of manana. And therefore, we have put up this event or this workshop on reflection. So it will be very interactive. So I was almost telling Gayatri Ma that we will not put hybrid for those in Twin Cities. So you will have to come if you want to be a part of it. If you are in the cities, you have to come. Don't use the convenience of just being at home and expecting the Guru to come at your door. He will not come to your desk. You have to come to the Guru. You have to come to the institute. You have to put in that effort. And obviously, there will be exceptions, but we will request those who are in Twin Cities to come there physically to be a part of that experience. And obviously for those who are not in the cities and not in India, you'll still have access to it. So please be a part of this initiative and effort. Okay, we'll come back. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.